Deep within the emerald embrace of the Congolese rainforest, whispers of a legend slithered through the humid air. It spoke of a creature older than time itself, a leviathan of scales, the Iju, the giant Congo snake. Decades ago, a blurry photograph, supposedly captured from a helicopter, fueled the flames of the myth. It depicted a monstrous serpent, its body winding through the trees like a living river. The image was inconclusive, yet it ignited a spark in the heart of a seasoned hunter named Jack Slate. Jack wasn't your average trophy hunter. He craved the thrill of the unknown, the pursuit of legendary beasts that others dismissed as mere folklore. The Iju was his Everest, his Moby Dick. Obsessed, he scoured dusty archives, interviewed wrinkled natives, and spent a fortune on guides and equipment. Finally, he assembled his team, the wiry tracker, Abani, with eyes as sharp as a hawk's, the muscle-bound ex-soldier, Makutu, and Dr. Anya Sharma, a brilliant herpetologist with a healthy dose of skepticism. Their journey into the heart of the Congo was an assault on the senses. The air hung heavy with the scent of decaying vegetation and exotic blooms. Sunlight filtered weakly through a dense canopy of leaves, casting an eerie twilight on the forest floor. Strange calls and rustles echoed through the undergrowth, hinting at unseen creatures. Abani led the way, his weathered face betraying a quiet respect for the ancient forest. Days turned into weeks, the drudgery of the expedition punctuated by fleeting glimpses of rare birds and shy primates. Anya's initial cynicism began to melt under the weight of the untouched wilderness. One humid afternoon, the air crackled with a sudden tension. Abani froze, his finger pointing towards a massive indentation in the damp earth. It was a snake track, unlike any they'd seen before. The sheer size of it sent a jolt of nervous excitement through the team. Days later, they stumbled upon a clearing dominated by a colossal, partially devoured elephant carcass. Flies buzzed around the putrid flesh, and the stench hung heavy in the air. It was clear what had taken down the mighty beast, the Iju was real. Panic warred with exhilaration in their hearts. Jack, fueled by a lifetime of chasing shadows, saw his dreams taking a terrifyingly real shape. Makutu, ever the pragmatist, gripped his weapon tighter. Anya, her clinical mind overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the predator, felt a knot of dread tighten in her stomach. They had crossed a line, ventured into territory where humans were not the apex predator. As dusk fell, casting long, inky shadows, an earth-shaking rumble echoed through the trees. The ground trembled, and leaves rained down as a monstrous head emerged from the foliage. It was the Iju, its scales shimmering emerald and black in the fading light. Its eyes, two malevolent yellow orbs, locked onto the tiny figures below. The sheer size of the creature defied imagination. It was easily twice as long as a school bus, its body thick enough to crush a tank. Terror turned to a desperate scramble for survival. Makutu opened fire, a hail of bullets bouncing harmlessly off the Iju's thick hide. Panicked, Jack tripped on a gnarled root and went sprawling. The monstrous head lunged, its forked tongue tasting the air before slamming shut on Makutu. The ex-soldier's scream was cut short as he was swallowed whole in one horrifying gulp. Anya and Abani, their faces etched with primal fear, sprinted deeper into the forest. The earth shook as the Iju slithered after them, its massive body parting the undergrowth with an ease that defied its size. Anya tripped, twisting her ankle, and a sob escaped her lips. Abani doubled back, a machete glinting in his hand. He launched himself at the Iju, a valiant but futile attempt. The giant snake swatted him away like a pesky fly. Anya, tears streaming down her face, closed her eyes as the Iju loomed over her. But instead of the crushing weight of its body, she felt a cold, constricting sensation around her waist. Her eyes flew open to see Abani, his face contorted in pain, using his own body as a makeshift rope to hold the creature back. "Go," he rasped, blood trickling down his chin. Anya hesitated, torn between self-preservation and a newfound respect for the selfless man. But the sound of the Iju's hiss, a sound like escaping steam from a monstrous engine, spurred her into action. Scrambling to her feet, she didn't dare look back. She ran, the pounding of her own heart the only sound in her ears, until she collapsed, utterly spent, in a thicket of thorny vines. Dawn broke, painting the sky with streaks of pink and orange. Anya stirred, her body a symphony of aches and pains. The memory of the Achu and Abony's sacrifice washed over her like a tidal wave of grief. Tears welled up in her eyes, blurring the already indistinct view. A low growl cut through the chirping of the awakening forest. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Was the Achu still out there? Tentatively, she peeked through the foliage. The clearing where they had encountered the monstrous snake was eerily silent. The colossal elephant carcass was gone, vanished without a trace. Relief washed over her, so intense it almost felt like a physical sensation. But it was tinged with a profound loneliness. She was alone, lost in the vast expanse of the Congolese rainforest, with no food, water, or means of communication. Despair threatened to engulf her, but Anya was a survivor. She forced herself to focus. Abony's sacrifice had bought her time, and she wouldn't waste it. Drawing on her knowledge of wilderness survival, she began to gather edible plants and search for a freshwater source. The days that followed were a blur of hunger, exhaustion, and the ever-present fear of the Achu. Each rustle in the leaves, each snap of a twig, sent chills down her spine. Just when she was on the verge of giving up, hope flickered in the distance. A thin plume of smoke rose from the dense canopy. With renewed energy, Anya stumbled towards it, praying it wasn't another predator. As she emerged from the undergrowth, a clearing revealed a small village nestled amongst the trees. Smoke curled from thatched roof huts, and children played in a dusty clearing. Anya was met with wary stares initially, but the sight of a wounded, exhausted woman broke down their barriers. An elderly woman, her face etched with a map of wrinkles, took Anya in, offering her food and a place to rest. Through broken French and gestures, Anya managed to convey her story. The village elder listened intently, her eyes widening with each detail. When Anya finished, the elder spoke, her voice raspy but firm. The Achu, she said, is a guardian spirit, a protector of the forest. It appears only to those who disrespect its balance. Anya's heart sank. Had their intrusion into the Achu's domain triggered its attack? The elder continued, it chooses its victims, those who come seeking to conquer, not understand. Anya spent the next few weeks recuperating in the village. She learned about their reverence for the forest, their deep understanding of its delicate ecosystem. They taught her about the medicinal properties of plants she had dismissed as mere foliage. Slowly, the raw terror that had gripped her began to recede, replaced by a newfound respect for the natural world and a pang of regret for Abony's sacrifice. One morning, the elder woman approached her with a worn leather satchel. "This belonged to your friend," she said, handing it to Anya. Inside, nestled amongst Abony's personal belongings, was a small, intricately carved wooden figurine, a serpent with emerald and black scales. Anya clutched it to her chest, a bittersweet token of the man who gave his life for her. With a heavy heart but a clearer understanding, Anya decided it was time to leave. The villagers helped her find a river that would lead her back to civilization. As she drifted downstream, the dense foliage closing in around her, she knew she would never forget the Achu or the lessons learned in the heart of the Congolese rainforest. The legend of the giant Congo snake became more than a myth for Anya, a stark reminder of the consequences of human arrogance and the delicate balance of nature. The blurry photograph that fueled Jack's obsession became a cautionary tale, a whisper on the humid wind urging respect for the unknown.